calling any ethnic groups.
Starting. We're started.
So we're like 30 seconds.
We're started. Yeah, here, we can go on mute right now.
Hey everyone, welcome to The Real Talk. I'm your host, Jussie, where we talk about the real shit!
Let's go.
There we go. Hey everyone, please introduce ourselves at this beautiful, lovely table of ours.
Yeah, we out here. We got some technical issues.
There we go.
It'd be like that sometimes, for
We're all
sure.
good?
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right.
As you all know from the last streams, my name is No Jussie. We're here at the Washington, D.C. Capitol.
As you can see with the monument in the back, it's beautiful.
There, yeah, the monument.
Right.
Yeah, not the Capitol, my bad.
Great stream. We're really happy to bring you guys here today, and we're really excited for you guys to see this. As you know, I'm El.
No Jussie.
I'm Jussie.
Jussie.
You already know it's me.
Jussie.
You already know I'm Jussie.
Oh, man.
I'm new to this. It's my first one. I'm G-Pal, and this is my boys.
I'm Biggie.
Yes,
Biggie.
For those of you that don't know, Biggie came all the way from Oregon for you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
So he's really dedicated to this. We're really happy to have him here.
Really
He's
representing
Oregon
the
boy.
West Coast. He's representing the West Coast. Come
Very
on.
glad
absolutely.
to be here.
Yeah,
Oh,
as
yeah.
you guys can probably hear or see here, it's absolutely freezing.
Oh, yeah.
39 degrees, about like 1 degree Celsius. The camera's shaking because of the wind. The mic's picking up some wind. But we're out here making good content for you guys, making sure you guys are happy.
Indeed. No matter the weather, we will be here and we're gonna spread the message. No matter how bad the weather could be, we will always spread the message in the
With
truth.
that being said, we're gonna have to put on some hats.
It's very
yeah.
cold. I'm shaking over here.
Time to warm up, boys.
But in the meantime, Jussie, why don't you go ahead and tell the people what we're talking about
So,
today?
for today's segment, we're going to have a little, it's a current trend, current topic, and, it's very nitpicky, it's very conflicting, if you will. As you all know about the Israeli-Palestine conflict, that's actually been going on since 1948, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even earlier than that. It's, we've gathered a lot of research about this, whether for the Palestinians as well as for the Israelis. But, I think right now we should talk about the origins of this whole conflict from the start.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In middle school, even in recess as kids, we always go for the swing. Whoever's there gets it first.
Right.
But in our story, it's clearly not the case,
Yeah.
The feud, honestly, between these two ethnic groups, I would say even, goes back all the way in the biblical times,
Mm-hmm.
When Abraham came to the land called Canaan with all
Or
these
Canaan.
people,
Canaan, if you will.
Canaan with all these
Right.
people, in present-day Israel / Palestine, and as well as Ishmael with his Israelites,
Yeah.
And this is a story dated back all the way till Jesus, honestly.
Indeed.
So a very old conflict that's been going on for years that has unfortunately resurrected in our modern times that has spilt a lot of blood and
Right.
a lot of lives have been unfortunately cut short due to this conflict.
But this time we see actual advancements in this conflict in terms of technology, in terms of the weapons used, the tactics that are used, and there's a lot of controversial stuff going on and happening.
Absolutely.
Indeed, that's true.
Specifically with technology and the side playing of this game.
Right.
Absolutely. We'll delve into that later, but let's get started on the actual origin histories. So one of the events I like to talk about is the Balfour Declaration, all the way back in 1917.
Whew.
Issued back by the British government during World War One. We all know where World War One is.
Oh, look at that.
We got some light back.
There we go. Get some better
Sorry
light.
Sorry for those that couldn't see us.
Yeah. Well, then prove it
There we
now.
go.
It's
You
all
know what I
love.
mean?
It's all love.
Okay.
For real. I appreciate you guys.
From a Chinese person, all the Chinese viewers watching, 我爱你们.
Yeah.
Yeah, our own Chinese
Well, I
man.
knew, well, I knew. There you go.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah, but the Balfour Declaration expresses support from the West, including the British, the ally U.S., as well as Canada with their respective allies, showing support for the Jewish people in the move into the Palestine, and then which previously is a part of the Ottoman Empire. This declaration was very significant as it's one of the first instances of international recognition of Jewish aspirations in Palestine, in the area, in the Middle East especially.
That's right, yeah. So there's a lot of there's also there's mainly been a lot of foreign influence in this current stage of where it's at with Israel.
A lot of
and
foreign
Palestine.
powers
So
involved.
there are this is going to be a brief overview, but I believe we're going to be talking a bit about how China has a role in this because, as you know, we're mainly focused on pointing out what the CCP does in this.
Yeah.
'cause,
There are many injustices
yeah.
that they commit.
The connections
Absolutely,
to this
but it's a
conflict.
crucial topic we have to cover. Even our boy Bryce came all the way out here
Right.
for this.
Yeah, Biggie. There we go.
Yes.
You know,
One more round of applause for our man
There you
Biggie.
go. There's Biggie.
Long trip from home,
So let's just ask our guests the most important question of this podcast: what does Biggie from Oregon think about this whole conflict?
Yeah, Biggie,
For
as
real.
a
What is your
Westerner.
I think it's represented. I don't see it enough on the news nowadays. I think we need to be hearing more about this information, and whenever I talk to my friends out there, they don't seem to know what's happening really.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
It's not a very
So,
revealing topic, it seems now.
and unfortunately, I feel that's how many of the conflicts in the Middle East go. It doesn't
Yeah.
affect us over here, especially in the United States, and it's almost like we're too busy to be bothered with
Yeah.
caring about these
It seems like it's too far
these
away.
humans, which is just downright wrong to me.
Right.
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
news stories. They come out, but you never get the full story all the time. You really need to look at it from both perspectives.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
media these days is
Yeah.
entertainment.
Yeah.
Entertainment clearly not doing
People
the real
watch
job.
it. The people
Right.
choose what they want, like a sport.
Absolutely, boys.
Yeah.
If you like football, you like basketball, you choose Fox News, CNN, NBC. It's
Yeah.
kind of ridiculous what the news has how they've really taken their own political standpoint these
Yeah,
days.
and how they turned out to be now.
And everybody's wondering, we're out here in the absolute
Capital of the United States of America.
Heart of
a mile away from
Pennsylvania.
Congress.
We are out here freezing our tuchuses off for you guys.
The American people has suffered in Ukraine, where our resources, our tax money was put to a country where most of us has no idea where it is.
Indeed.
And for this Israel conflict, although they are the more equipped country in this conflict, we don't want to be repeating Ukraine. Many of our taxpayers, our people, needs help. We can't be directing resources there. That's why we chose this beautiful scenery out here in the cold. So we want to be able to be at the nation's capital with this decision's made and talk to you guys.
That's right.
We want to show you guys that we care about this. We came out here to give you guys the best stream that we could, and we really hope you guys
good,
enjoy
my
it, because
friend?
we have a lot of good content
Right.
coming out for you guys.
Indeed.
So, Justy, I know we covered just a little bit of when this conflict started,
when it
how long
started.
it's been going on since before the 1950s.
Yeah.
But tell me, I
yeah.
know we have some more information on that.
Yeah.
The sort of pre-conflict that led us up to this point in
Yeah.
modern day, where Israel and Palestine are currently fighting.
For real.
What are they fighting over?
Basically fighting over what they call the Holy Land.
The Holy Land.
It's a
Yeah.
very bloody piece. It's a very bloody region. A lot of deaths on both sides that have happened, but it's a very valuable part of land. It doesn't seem so significant, but for very religious groups and ethnic groups, it is basically divine providence for them, whether for the Jews and whether for the Arabs, such as the Palestinians, who believe they've lived there, for basically the remainder of their lives since their great grandfathers, great grandmothers. But I think right now that we really have to talk about is the actual modern day country of Israel, which actually was formed in 1948. By the UN. It's like after World War II, decided where are they going to put all the Jewish people? Well, I guess the most logical option was put them back to Jerusalem,
State of Israel.
right, where Palestinians were already living as well. So they tried to give out the let's just say the two-state solution. They have a lot of plans regarding from since 1917 through like British controlled Israel to once of course in 1948 the actual establishment
Especially
of this
Soviet
country.
Union too.
Right, a lot of foreign powers, as we said, are very involved in this region
Absolutely.
on both sides.
So
That's-
without further ado, I say we should dive into the main instigator in this event, who attacked Israel on October 7th, Hamas and their
Yep.
counterpart Hezbollah, as well as maybe allegedly guys, Iran's backing with financials and everything else.
Oh wow.
But before we start that, I just want to say, No Jussi here is a former Muslim. He is a very devout person, and he's going to be actually educating us a lot more on the actual religion aspect of it and so on.
And so the reasons for what they're doing, especially a fun fact as well that Nojon was a past Shia Muslim.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So, in regards to the Gaza attack, this attack was executed by Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad. So if you will let me talk about the attack, it wasn't just like a raid; it was an invasion. It was more of it was a surprise and a significant loss to the Israeli forces and Mossad. But But the scale of the attack was pretty crazy. They used long range missiles. They used homemade devices like pipe bombs.
Oh wow.
You know, you see those in GTA. You got a little pipe bomb.
Underground cartel tunnels.
That's right.
Wow.
And
It's like
yeah,
Vietnam shit.
It was. See, the thing is, they were using such actually simplified and very simple tactics that the Israel Defense Force, the Mossad, really didn't see it, and they overlooked a lot.
Right.
There are examples of it, like in one thing, allegedly, they staged a conversation to be happening, and that conversation wasn't real. It had no sustenance.
Yeah, when you say it wasn't real, do you mean they never met, or they just met and for
like
for
one of
tea and
those
cheese?
fake AI
for-
stuff?
Oh,
You know,
wow.
it could
For
be,
wine
but it
and
was
crackers.
it was
We
a
don't know.
bullshit. It was a bullshit conversation that didn't
Yeah.
lead to anything. It actually misinformed the intelligence agency.
And
But
one
that's-
thing
yeah.
I think we need to clarify is that this is a war between Israel and Hamas specifically.
Hamas
The
are the
Palestinian
Yeah.
people are innocent.
They're
They've been
great,
displaced.
humble people.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
We need to
They're-
point
they're
out
in
the
need of our
significant
help.
difference
Yeah.
between Hamas, which is a terrorist group, versus the Palestinian people, who
Which are
have
good Muslim
Yeah.
people.
Just
unfortunately
trying to
been
live
caught
their
in the middle of this conflict,
Indeed.
and their lives are
Absolutely.
being spilt
Yeah,
for
and
it.
speaking about the Palestinian people, it's very unfortunate and kind of scary because due to the fact of where Hamas is actually located, whether the two Palestinian territories that are now existing, the West Bank, the landlocked territory, as well as the Gaza Strip, through massive research, it's basically known that it's one of the most densely populated regions as civilian urbanization has been developing. So it's basically like a urban guerrilla warfare that's been going on. Bombings, like imagine the civilian death toll on both sides, Israeli and Palestinian, just fighting in a bunched up place. All in
Already
one.
got thousands of casualties
Right.
on each
Tens
side.
of thousands
Human lives.
of Israelis and Palestinians that have their lives have been unfortunately cut short because of this conflict
Yeah.
that really could have been avoided.
People that don't even fight, men, women, and children are dying.
Absolutely.
It's unfortunate.
And their bigger brother counterpart, Hezbollah, is definitely not much better. Started in the West Bank area in 1980. They're a similar Shiite militant group.
Yep.
Absolutely does the same exact things. Terrorists, Muslim extremists. They're bending the book of Quran against their will and then manipulating it to
Indeed.
hurt people.
For their own little desires.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
There are multiple interpretations, but you can see it somewhat in a way as if these groups or the people involved in these groups are kind of going back to the first come first serve rule. They were kind of getting something that was first theirs. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because before this state came around, the state of Israel, that was their land, that was their
Right.
territory, that was their home that they were exiled from essentially, and just moved down to like the first floor.
Right. Is it cool if I play devil's advocate on what you're saying, no, Jesse?
You go ahead, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Go for
Go
it.
So you're saying you're for the side of Palestine as being the first group of people that have entered into
I'm merely
essentially
pointing
the
out
Holy Land
their
as well.
perspective in terms of their motives for fighting.
Right.
So you can say what you will.
Okay.
but
So you're saying like basically you're understanding the reasons why Hamas or Hezbollah
that's
and
what
their
I'm-
directive into why
Correct.
they're attacking Israel and various other things.
Yeah.
Are you saying they want a Palestinian state?
I would say they
Solely?
want they want the okay, so they basically want the dissolvement. I would say they want the dissolvement of the Israeli state, because as far as they're concerned, that fucking state hasn't been treating them well at all. It's have you seen the shit that's been happening? Like Hamas, don't get me wrong, Hamas fucks over their own people for their own good, for their benefit. And whether that may be to fight or not, whether that's the cause, all of this is fucked up. So if you look at Israel, I wouldn't blame them for wanting the basic dissolving of the Israeli state.
I somewhat agree, but also the fact that, of course, I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah,
Not trying to harm you in any
I mean,
way
as am
verbally.
I,
But yeah, of course, this is all just a devil
Yeah.
advocacy. But the fact that the dissolution of the Jewish state for, let's just say, forever, I guess, just for I guess balancing out the Palestinian state or the Jewish state. Don't you think like what they've been doing since history, a two-solution issue, as well as
So-
having a separation of a Palestinian state while having the Jewish state, so it's basically egalitarian in all ways and form. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because why dissolute like one over the other while both of them have been living essentially back to back for centuries at this point.
Yeah, there was no need for this conflict in the first place. It's like a fat chick at a buffet. She gets there first.
Well,
She thinks that
so-
she's gonna get all the food.
There was-
Absolutely not. Her little kid, the Palestinian people are sitting there hungry, tired, starving, and her mom, this fat chick, is taking all the food.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
That's absolutely not
So-
fair. And then there's this family next to them who just got in from the cold blizzard outside.
cold,
They're
yeah.
watching this fat chick eat all the food. Like
listen,
the Israeli
So,
people.
like,
That's not okay at all.
Especially early on, let me just chime in real quick. I think either Nojan or Jordan was talking about the leader of Hamas was in a 5-star hotel. I'm not sure even where. Like,
So, okay.
educate us more on that.
Yeah.
one.
Okay. I believe they were in a 5-star hotel, but what I want to
Ishmael,
bring
the
it
leader of
back
Hamas.
to
Yeah.
is Israel. There was
That's a good idea, Jihad.
There was-
good point.
okay. So China was essentially kind of reprimanding Israel for them the way they treated the Palestinians. There was a certain event that I can't really recall from my brain, but that I just want to say that's what kind of started this a little bit. There was an instigator here.
You believe
And
that the
it-
CCP
it's-
has been instigating
it's both
this?
sides. Yeah,
Both
that's
sides.
right. Because
Okay.
these, when you look at these are two groups that have always been pitted against each other over something humans always fight for, which is land.
Resources
We've
and land.
always fucking fought for resources and land.
For sure.
And the thing is,
As can be said for most countries in the Middle East.
think of
Yeah,
betting on
yeah.
boxing. When you're betting, you can bet. Okay, imagine if you could bet on two boxers.
Right.
You know, that's what China's trying to do.
So this is like, I guess like a metaphor. This is kind of like how would you call this? Like a different
They're-
Cold War.
they're
You know,
pitted
just
against
two
each
foreign
other.
powers puppeting like smaller regions for resources and just
Absolutely.
I mean, I think
benefits of it all.
China's running the books here. If we're talking about
So-
betting, you've got
Possibly.
two boxers in the
So
ring. China's the one that's
China's-
putting out the odds. They're saying
Iran
take
and China's
this.
in bed together.
Right.
Yeah,
Hard.
they've been.
They're
in
best
bed.
buddies in bed. They
Yeah.
cuddle every night.
There was a BRICS conference with Xi Jinping, proudly saying he's pro-Palestinian,
He was.
Dissolution of the Jewish state,
He
or,
was.
I guess the
That's right.
Israeli state if you want. So
And-
clearly the truth is out
But
there. The Xi Jinping said it himself.
The
You know what I
thing
mean?
is,
So at this point,
Xi
But-
Jinping.
With that guy's mindset, I'm not even sure the President Xi, if China can even think for himself.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
But like, think about it. Like, you think Xi Jinping has like the goodness of his heart to be helping the Palestinian people, or is it for some other
So-
incredulous agenda? of
What I
his?
sometimes think, sometimes people, you hear that history is written by people who win the wars. People
That's
who
right.
lose never get to share their opinion or the side of what happened. And here we're getting all the information from the CCP and from China, so we are not actually getting the proper information we need. And this is not even over. This is still in the midst of everything. So how can there be another country giving all this information?
So
That's a great point,
Can I-
Becky.
True, Biggie.
Great
Can I-
A
point.
great perspective.
I would like to say that so y'all know Winnie the Pooh, Xi
Absolutely,
Jinping.
of course.
So he
President China.
so
Oh,
you were
yeah.
talking about a two-state solution earlier. Xi Jinping, Winnie the Pooh, was calling for a ceasefire and a two-state solution to kind of be seen as a peace broker in these international like civil matters. So if you think of it, their stance is kind of like a diplomatic strategy to present themselves as a problem-solving global leader.
Well, and I'm sure that's just a smokescreen. Like they're like, "Hey, everyone, look at me! I'm voting for peace." While in the back door, they're supporting
So,
Palestine
the
with
thing
these
is-
weapons and
We're
these
funding
ideas.
Hamas.
We gotta take-
They're funding
Yeah,
Hamas.
they're like goodie points, basically.
Yeah, they're
look
shoving
good in
out to the
front of
public.
camera.
Look at us, we're supporting peace, and then in the back door, they're like, "Here's all these weapons
keep it
to,
going,
to kill these Israelis." That's what China does.
China does like to infiltrate a lot of countries. I do agree. In East Africa, they are basically putting like Eastern African countries in debt by helping them build the infrastructure.
and Road Initiative.
Right.
Yep.
But of course, at the end of the day, too good to be true. You're gonna have to pay back with interest. But I really don't think these countries, the third world governments, things like that. There's some conflicts in their own regions. They're probably not going to be able to pay that back, meaning they will be in debt to the CCP.
Absolutely.
So there could be some similarities what's going on here with the Palestinian Israeli conflict.
I agree. China is a global superpower just like the U.S., and let's just quote Spider-Man for a second. With great power comes great responsibility.
That was said way before Spider-Man, but you know what? I'll give it to you.
That was an old quote. That's a super
Hey.
quote, I swear.
I'm not advocating for some of the stuff even the United States does, because obviously we fucked over many countries.
Got some corrupt shit
But
going on.
we chart our best on the international table to broker a peace and fair deal. And China as a superpower needs to stop lying and pretending to play both sides and act up. And especially, they develop economic and technological relationship with Israel just to steal that same military tech and then replicate it in their own military industry.
Oh,
So
wow.
what you could say is
Absolutely.
China's stance in this whole thing is selfish. And one thing I want to add to that is that China traditionally has a non-interference policy when it comes to these matters. We don't see any of that being put in place when it comes to the Gaza attack.
Yeah.
So that fucking raises questions to that point in particular where they haven't been interfering for so
Right.
long. What's making them interfere now? What sort of stake do they have?
What are they looking for? What are they desiring?
But let's tie this back at the point. Since the beginning of time, there's been scriptures in the Quran, in the Bible, in
Torah.
different religion books all across the world, claiming that the Israelites or the Ishmaelites was there first. But we're not sure. It was thousands of years ago, and throughout these thousands of years, there's been conflicts, everything.
Very different stories.
I'm saying
sometimes.
here, let's just forget about history. Pure humanity and good thinking. What do we think in this modern situation? People to people, country to country, what do we think should be the solution here?
Okay,
That's
Modern
getting
age-
into
yeah.
it deep,
Surely.
That's a
but
deep dive for real.
I mean,
purely theoretically.
I know on November 22nd of this year, so just a few days ago, there was a couple of Harvard alumni that gathered together for a meeting at Harvard, and some of their solutions, they had some great input. I think we even have the names right here. Harvard alumni / panelists: Tariq Masood, Amini Jamal, David Makovsky, Khalil Shoot, I'm sorry.
Let me see that. Where is it?
Khalil Shikaki,
Local.
Shai Feldman, they're all Harvard alumni. So these are people that have put in work over years to earn the sort
degrees.
of reputation
Right.
that they have for
Well-educated.
being well-educated men.
Absolutely,
and they're,
scholars.
Yep.
They're,
Top of
they're
their
saying that
field.
the only
Top of
solution
their
that they can see is to eliminate as many Hamas as possible, because again, the Hamas and Palestinian people are two separate
Yeah.
things.
We're not condoning, attacks on Hamas attacks, terrorist organization. We're not telling that all Palestinians are terrorists. It's the organizations as Hamas or Hezbollah
And
that are
unf-
causing the real
And
trouble.
unfortunately, it is so hard to depict who supports what. So while all this war and conflict and absolute chaos is going on,
Right.
really the only thing we can do, or at least that these Harvard alumni are putting out there as a solution: take out Hamas, bring in a third party sort of authority to negotiate and to regulate the things that are going on in this war zone, to give back and to help aid the Palestinian authority to regaining control,
Right.
because there is just absolute chaos going on right now, and someone needs to do something about it. We can't just sit back and support war for either side. China supporting China supporting Hamas, the U.S. supporting Israel. We're just feeding into the war.
Right.
We need to start creating peace.
Yeah, enough funding, enough puppeteering. We have to find a solution.
All right, stop putting our own sort of spin on things, trying
Right.
to gain things out of it. We're people. All right, all of us are people. It's like two siblings fighting over the last piece of bacon, and parents are supporting one child. They're giving their child a baseball bat to beat their brother up with.
That's right.
That's not okay.
Yeah,
So-
that's
Just
not
split the piece of bacon.
Yeah, and China's okay. I'm gonna bring this back. China's gonna want to fucking step in and be the mediator on this one. Let me tell you. You know how much you could get from being the mediator in this entire situation.
Tell
What
us.
benefits are going to get? Because honestly, Palestine in the Israel area, there is not that much there.
There isn't that much, but
What
they
more
can
can China gain?
deals and power, geopolitical ties
And
with
debt.
certain powers
Interests.
and debt. When you
Loyalty.
owe the CCP, you owe the CCP.
Oh, they're not forgetting about that.
They're more crazy than the IRS, for fuck's sake.
So, if the IRS is already like a gang of mobs, what is the CCP then?
Fucking Peaky Blinders.
organization.
Absolute gangsters from the CCP.
For real.
But now we're on the modern topic. Let's bring here.
Well, before we move on, I would just Biggie, our guest star. Do you have any questions? Is there anything that you're
what's your
confused about?
perspective?
Because
and
we know
like
the
that.
people you guys can't really communicate with us. So Biggie, our friend here,
We still love you. Why
Yeah,
do
we
you-
love
Oh
you.
wait,
Let's
well, you
go.
guys
Yeah.
build
love
us. But Biggie's gonna kind of be your moderator. Whatever he has a question on, he's gonna ask. So Biggie, let loose. What do you want to know? What can we inform you on?
I would like to know just what what is Hussad's goal really? Because it doesn't seem like he has true Islam values, and like it just seems like he's abusing the Quran. Does he have any true Israeli values?
So, in terms of Israeli or Palestine?
Israeli.
Israeli values. Well,
Like
I
Jewish
can't.
values?
Like
They're
you mean Jewish values?
Yeah.
Do they have Jewish values? I mean, so in the Torah, I believe it's fundamental to be good to people of your own kind, right? I think that's the
Well,
fundamental.
why would it be your own kind? We're all one kind. We're humankind.
Yeah.
Why do you have to discriminate against someone else because they believe something else?
So I'm not Jewish. You
Of
can't
course,
really
I'm
quote
not.
me on this.
I'm not prosecuting
oh my
you.
gosh, always
I
devil
know. I don't
advocate.
want
Let's
you to
just say
think that
from
I'm
a
attacking
Muslim
you.
perspective,
Right.
what is the general opinion on Jewish people and respecting their cultures? Because we've seen videos of Jewish people treating Christians in Israel absolutely horrendously.
So listen,
We've also seen videos of the Iranian parliament getting together, chanting death
Death to
to
the Jews.
Israel right
Death
before
to
the
Israel.
attacks.
I know a lot of people who talk about
Netanyahu.
Netanyahu,
Prime Minister of Israel.
So I know a lot of Iranian people who talk about Netanyahu. I hear them coming out of their mouths. You know, I hear that name out of their mouths a lot. So all I can say is, in terms of religion and religion beef, because there is always going to
Oh,
be
yeah.
religion beef. The
It's just
fucking
the dawn of
Crusades
time.
happened for a reason.
Hey, I
Yeah,
just gotta
you
say, I
know.
love you guys. We got 42. Let's go. Anyone coming in? I love you too.
Right. But it's like,
keep
yeah,
this
so-
podcast rolling.
So listen. I'm sure that anyone who's very devout and somewhat radical, seeing what Israel and maybe the Jewish people are doing, if they were to generalize them like that, they'd be upset. So there's always going to be picking sides. You're not going to pick the side that you don't resonate with. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah, it's kind of a hard topic religiously, speaking of like the fact that, Israel and the Holy Land itself, it's like a blend of many religions, Judaism, Christianity, Islam.
Shall we say it's the center where the beginning
Yeah.
of
Right.
religion began?
Oh, it absolutely
in the three
is.
Abrahamic religions, in the
Mesopotamia
aspect of like
religion.
the three
Yeah,
religions,
absolutely.
Jerusalem, which is in Israel, if you don't know, is they think of it as like the center of the world. Whoever holds Jerusalem, is
They see it
divine-
even further.
right.
The center of humankind.
Yeah, center of humankind. But like the center of their God, it
are
is
you doing?
literally divine providence to them. The fact that back in look, since the dawn of mankind, everyone's been fighting for Jerusalem. Whether the Jewish people, Christians, and the Muslims.
Cradle of humanity.
Right, the cradle of humanity. It's like it's near the crescent. Where Mesopotamia, all the early civilizations. It's valuable religiously for many groups, and that's why it's so hard to like try and find a solution for this, because it seems like it's black and white. For the Jews, they want it, for themselves, one state,
They don't
or
really like us that
the
much.
Islamic people, they want it for themselves as the Palestinians. It's very nitpicky. It's like it's hard to find a solution. Clearly, since the two-state solutions, which there is many, have not been working out.
The two-state solution, I have to say, is like communism. Pretty theoretical, right? It'll work perfectly theoretically,
Hey,
right?
slow down the brakes.
Yeah,
there.
I don't know
Slow
about
down.
that.
But like,
I don't know if we're
Yeah,
talking
let's
about
devil's
like
advocate about that. I don't know about that.
I don't feel like these two groups can exist in the same area
Alright,
peacefully.
okay.
That's what I mean by that. And communism can't really go down peacefully, am I right?
Well, we know
So
communism
there's a-
can't. That's our
there's
whole
a-
goal
there's-
here is
there's
to
a point.
It
fight
ain't gonna work
communism.
out,
Let's get
bro.
Biggie with
There's
the
a-
second one. Biggie,
Right.
what's your second concern? Let's talk for the people right here. We got more people pouring in every time. We still love you guys. Thank you for being up this late. We're out here freezing,
yeah.
but I'm sure you
Oh,
guys
it's like
love
it's
watching us
noon
suffer.
for them, bro.
As we were talking earlier about that there's no conflicts happening because of this here in the U.S., is there a way that this could spill over here and get even larger?
I'm actually really glad that you asked that because
We had the same concern with Russia and Ukraine. It's
yeah,
like,
we
is
did.
the world-
Yeah, we did.
Is the war gonna come?
I don't
to
know if you
US
know
soil?
the UN had a meeting to call for a ceasefire between Israel and Palestine.
4-day ceasefire.
4-day
Yeah.
ceasefire so that they could tend to their troops,
Yeah.
take out hostages, prisoners of war that either side has taken, and the U.S. is one of the only countries that voted against a ceasefire.
Oh wow.
Which means that there has to be some sort of control that Israel has over the U.S. There is something that Israel is holding over the U.S. where they said, we're winning this war, do not call for a ceasefire, we're going to murder Hamas. We're going to murder the Palestinians for this
What
war.
if we see this other way? Let's just say 30 years ago, there's actually a famous video of our now President Joe Biden, as a senator back then, saying that in U.S. Congress, $3 billion investment into Israel will be the best investment the United States government has ever made. And that if there wasn't Israel, the United States government shall create Israel.
Oh wow! And you're saying
And-
30 years back.
Absolutely.
This has been clearly this has been going on for a
So
while.
is it really like a father-son relationship where the U.S. is carefully breeding and taking care of Israel, so it has the stable power foothold in the Middle East?
That's right. That's very
What do
right.
we think about that?
Well, should that be going on? My concern is that as we know, China has a hold over the Palestinians. China is the one that controls the Palestinians. It seems that in this case,
But
for
wouldn't
Israel
we
and the
say
U.S.,
China
Israel is
and
controlling the
Iran
U.S.
too? Wouldn't be China and Iran, or just China?
Right.
What do you think?
I'm sorry, say that again.
You think China and Iran are in this together, or it's just like
No, absolutely, they're in it for their own benefit.
really?
We both China's trying to be the world superpower. They've been undermining U.S. citizens, the U.S. government for years now. We've had many segments about how they're doing it, that whether it be drugs such as fentanyl, with the new technological age, apps and programs such as TikTok and Temu and all these things that are meant to drain the U.S. of its resources. That China has been taking for itself. And Israel, I don't know, I'm not too educated on Israeli standpoint in this. That wasn't, I did much more research on other aspects of this. If someone else has those, that sort of
yeah.
information.
So,
but I don't think that those two are connected.
You don't believe they're connected, Ellen?
I'm sure that there are connections. I'm sure that they're in contact, but they are in it for different reasons.
I see. Well, let's just say this. Maybe those reasons.
Respectfully, my man. I have.
What
to,
do you got?
Hey, listen to me. I have to say
shit.
this. I have to say this.
Get a little heated, eh?
Even in the Russian-Ukraine conflict, we see Iranian-produced drones with Chinese People's Liberation Army, what do you call that? Parts
Yeah,
labeled
PLA.
in them.
All right, you see
I think-
Chinese phones here in America. I bet you the
I
clothes
think
that you're
it's
wearing right now
I
say
think
"Made
it's
in China."
Very clear that China has. Actually, let's just put it this way: Iran has the backing of China, which gave the both of them the balls to conduct this whole
Right.
thing.
If I could say something, let's just say this. Iran and China have fostered a very good relationship with each other. Clearly, look at this. So Iran will basically join BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, on January 1st, 2024. So clearly, that means they're going to be into something together. Clearly, they're being in the same economic relationship. Clearly, if they have different reasons, as you said, El, that may be true, maybe not. But clearly, they're going to benefit both from each other, from whatever reasons they may have.
I think I don't know if you've ever heard the saying, "The enemy of my enemy is my ally."
Is my friend right?
Is
Yeah.
my friend? Yes, thank you. And while I'm sure this war obviously is benefiting both China and Iran. Did you say? I'm sorry.
right.
Iran. This war is benefiting both of them, whether they're in it for the same reasons or not. What their control, their influence on how this war is going to turn is for different reasons. And they might, Iran might be backing up some of the things that China has. China might be backing up some of the beliefs that Iran has. But whatever, at the end of this war, they're both taking something different out of it. And I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to stab each other in the back. Obviously, China has much more power. They have more control, more influence over lesser stable countries. So whatever they're in it for, which I'm sure is going to come back to bite us here in the U.S., because obviously Iran is not too much of a threat to the society of China. It's not going to be good for us in the U.S. So we have to figure out what that is, what they're in it for, and how we can stop that.
Absolutely.
I mean, I agree with that, El, for sure. That was a very good opinion and perspective. But I just feel like the fact that, there is some commonality and benefits from both those countries, due to the fact that if we're talking about the U.S. itself, of course we know that China doesn't have the best relationship with the United States, but also as well as Iran doesn't have a good relationship with the United States as well. So clearly, as banding together seems like, I guess, as you would say, the most logical answer there could be, due to the fact also that Iran has been funding Hamas, with weaponry, equipment, things like that. I believe there is evidence that you can find in research on your own if the viewers are watching from back home. But the fact that there is a commonality in the fact that they're aiming for one thing and that thing only is in that region. For whatever their agenda could be, there has to be some benefit and connection from both of those regions and those countries.
So in terms of China, as you all do know, China has never once declared Hamas as a terrorist organization.
Well,
They
the
actually
whole
justified
entire
it.
world
The
did.
whole entire world has. but China has never once held Hamas accountable. They have only tried to move towards a two-state solution and a fucking ceasefire. That's all they really tried to step up to the plate. So, it's very fucking clear to see, even though they have they have diplomatic relations with Israel since 1992. It's very clear that China likes Hamas. China is benefiting some way from Hamas, and there's a lot of technology that goes into play in this war too.
Speaking of technologies, I say we've done extensive research looking at actually the key strategies and failures of how the Mossad and the IDF, which is the Israel Defense Forces, failed to protect the Israeli citizens from this Hamas attack.
Indeed.
Anybody want to lead, or do you want me to go?
I can go for it. Do we want to talk about their arsenal of tactics?
If just before we move on real quick, I did just want to say that it might not be, as we know, China and the U.S. have never gotten along.
Yeah.
And as I'm sure many of you guys know, the U.S. has supported Israel. They send them millions, if not billions of dollars every year. And obviously, I think China is supporting Hamas because they know that the U.S. supports Israel.
Precisely.
This is like the
Would you guys
the two
even say
powerhouses.
this is another proxy war?
Yeah, like a Cold
Yeah,
War.
exactly.
To further advances
Exactly.
different countries' interests.
Yes,
Wow.
thank you.
Yeah.
That's
Truly,
a very educated.
yeah.
That's
I feel like I just
very
had to put that out
alleged
there.
thing
Yeah.
with the
Very,
news
very
given
good.
that I wanna say.
alleged, but it's speculative, sure, but it's legit. You can.
It's
make
like
that-
two divorced parents trying to get back at each other through their kids.
Through the kids. That's a good perspective because of the fact that
I like that. I
the
like
international community would definitely not like an outright war between two global superpowers, such as China and the U.S. Basically, like in the 80s and the 70s, like the Cold War with the USSR and the United States itself, it always comes back to one thing: it's communism versus democracy. At the end of the day. They're using puppet states, or just basically anything they can to have a little proxy
They're
war to
using
fill up their
puppets for
agendas.
sure.
I think they're using this as a chance to show their sort of technological advancements and their power without directly attacking each
Now,
other.
Let's get to it, boys.
Listen, when we're talking about technological advancements, there's a point where you can't rely too much on the technology.
Absolutely,
that you
and
have.
obviously we can see there's a massive. I'm talking about massive, like my height versus that Monty behind me. Like that thing is
Real
tall.
big.
I'm small.
Yeah.
That's the difference between the technology of Palestine. Actually, let's just say not even Palestinians. The Hamas and Hezbollah terrorist group in Israel has a massive technological
Yeah.
differences.
There's a big gap.
I'm
Big
talking about
advancements.
Israel, one of the most equipped country in the Middle East, with billions in investment into military, with the help of U.S. They're equipped to the teeth.
That's
While
right.
Hamas and Hezbollah, which is essentially third terrorists,
yeah. Right.
like the
Like-
Taliban's.
I mean,
And
yeah,
they're-
it's still guerrilla warfare for
They're
them.
not
Absolutely,
kitted
yeah.
up in $20,000 worth of equipment. They don't have the U.S. military equipment,
course
but they still are able to get 400 militants breaching the Gaza border, and an additional 1,100 fucking fighters. breaching-
Holy fuck! How the fuck did he do that?
This
How
is
did he do that?
Listen, you want to know why he did
Tell
that?
me about it.
Because you know how they got so much fucking money, they can make that nice bullshit, that great sensors, the radars, the security systems you guys see in the Iron Dome, right? Well, they over relied on that. They were heavily reliant on this technology, including the sensors, cameras, and unmanned AI robots.
We're talking about a camera that recognizes the things it sees, and essentially the AI program in the camera, which is strapped to a machine gun pointed into the Gaza Strip, decides whether or not to shoot and terminate that target.
Yeah.
We've had incidents where kids were shot throwing rocks, misidentification, but yet I think that this whole AI system that you're talking about was a weakness of how
Exactly.
Hamas got in there.
Do you want to know? So Hamas, I have to give it to them. They implemented the most, in my definition, OG fucking term of terrorism. They
Oh,
put
man.
they put explosives on drones. suicide drones, and you remember the Iranian suicide drones?
We've
We
done
did
a
an
video on
episode
that.
on
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
Sure we did.
In the channel Real Talk, it's in the videos. Go check it out.
Yup.
The
Show some
Iranian
love.
A lot
Switchblade
more
drones.
content for you guys.
Also, I want to say we're almost at 60.
Almost at 60
Oh,
viewers,
wait,
which
if
is
we get to 80, I'm gonna take my shirt off for the rest. Remember, if we get to 80, I
Yeah.
take this all off.
it's 39
1 degree.
degrees,
Let's all
1
go.
degree Celsius. Yeah, hey, this man's gonna be
So
shivering.
when they killed those cell towers with the drones, dude, all of their shit went offline, and everything that they were heavily relying on, replacing manpower with, was deemed useless.
Wow.
So essentially, what he meant by that is the entire strip between Israel and Gaza is protected by a whole entire line of AI cameras and detection systems.
Wow.
Once Hamas disabled one of those systems, there became no longer a line, became a gap,
Yeah.
which they pushed through with
Big
tunnels, paragliders, parachutes, rockets, breaking through the nets even.
Right.
well, you guys are talking about this like it's an incredible feat. The Hamas is using children as shields.
That's true.
They are picking up their own kind, putting them in front of them, letting them get shot, and saying, "All right, I'm alive. Time to kill Israelis. Time to kill Palestinians." That's not something to be in awe at whatsoever.
True. That was very right, because the fact that Hamas itself, they may not be as technologically advanced as Israel in like military technology. The fact that they're using brutal tactics and guerrilla tactics to stay alive and keep on fighting is insane. They're using women and children as shields. It's its own Palestinians who are caught in the middle of this. As I said before, the Gaza Strip extremely densely populated.
Absolutely.
It's very
the
small.
size of DC actually, which the city we're filming from, the size of DC
Right.
is the size of Gaza Strip.
And let's
Just
just say
remember that.
there was
And
a
how many? Do
lot
you know
of
how many more
people there.
how many more people are in the Gaza Strip than in DC?
Let's just say,
Hundred thousands.
look behind me, it's empty.
Yeah.
This.
But in Gaza, there will be people everywhere. It is a super packed,
Right.
population dense place.
This small, densely packed city with a lot of people, but small area of a region. It is a war zone as well for these civilians. The fact that of course, these AI sentry that you guys are talking about, it's hard to I guess for the Israelis as well, because they considered it. The fact that it's also the civilians are getting caught in the crossfire of this all.
Well-
But the fact that I guess Mossad and like Israel, they're saying like, listen. War is hell at this point.
It
In
is.
every war it is in history, there is always going to be civilian casualties, and it's very difficult to, understand that fact. The fact that Hamas itself knows what they're doing by being in these urban places. They know, they basically know that they're going to get civilians caught in the crossfire, which actually makes, I guess people in the international community as well as Israel take a step back, and they're just completely bombing the place because they're going to kill innocents.
So-
the fact that they're using like
So
civilians.
with that being
and stuff
said,
like-
I have a question for all of you guys, starting with Biggie. We can go down the line here.
All right.
As we all know, Israel, the IDF, sent out cell phone messages and notifications to the Gaza Strip saying that the civilians should vacate the area before they started bombing, which historically no other military in the world has done.
Yeah.
You're right.
And a lot of people are arguing, hey, you're gonna bomb the fucking place already. You're bombing the civilians. Why are you you're just doing this for show? But you also have actual Middle Eastern experts like on Piers Morgan saying, hey, this is the nicest thing any military has ever done. So what are you guys' thoughts,
Yeah.
What do you think about this act done by the Israeli government and the military?
I think that it's not fair. You can't expect all these people to just get up and leave their homes. There is much more value to these people, and it's not just their religious values. It's simply people can't get the funding to go get on a plane or do anything. They can't find new jobs. This just isn't a realistic expectation.
Right.
For anyone that doesn't believe that we're actually out here, if you look over at my friend Biggie here, he is shivering right now.
You've been looking at me too. Holy shit, I've been fucking shivering.
It's cold out here, but we're doing this for you guys because we
Listen,
love you guys and we want to bring you the best content that we
We
can.
gotta do what we gotta do.
My
for real.
fingers are frozen, but let me show you. It's actually loading right now.
It's
District
probably
of
dropped.
Columbia,
Show him. 38.
38
Yeah.
degrees.
30
38
they can't
degrees.
see that.
Almost
They
0
can't.
degrees.
Just trust our word for
freezing
it.
out
It's
here.
cold, all right. You know what I mean? It's gonna get colder as the night goes on.
So, Biggie, that was a good answer, though.
Thanks.
That was-
All right,
you
so
can't
Jesse,
expect them to
what
move
are
out.
what are your
You
thoughts
really
on what our friend What do we call you?
G-Pound.
G-Pound.
G-Pound and Biggie.
We grew up together. That's why you can tell this kid doesn't like me. We grew up together since we were 13, 14 years old.
Right.
And he's like, what's your name again?
But yeah, I guess based on what Biggie said, as well as what G-Pow said as well, I do understand, yes, it's unfair for the civilians to, like, they have to leave their homes and, you know, their city. But then again, it's lives we're talking that are at stake here. As well as what G-Pow was saying about how Israel is basically the only one that's been using technology to prevent more deaths by telling them to, you know, get the hell out. There's going to be bombings. And that you can think that for modern technology as well. You know, the fact that we have cell phones, cell service, it's much easier to, like, connect to the civilians and people like Palestinians as well. But again, like as I said before, war is just, it's just outright disgusting. You know what I mean? What is this? What are you doing, no Jussie?
Alright, no, John clearly doesn't like something said there. Let's see what you gotta say.
Alright, you literally got some topics to you want to talk about?
Is no Jussie saying he likes war?
Shut
What
the
is this
water
guy
bottle
saying?
up.
Huh?
What?
What do you got to say, huh?
Okay,
What I want to say is, as this
tell it to
warning,
the people.
Yeah, tell
Talk
the-
to
while-
you. Just
while
a water bottle.
yeah,
while
man.
this warning message was given, people in the area absolutely did not heed it, as well as government, as well as officials had not heeded it. This was all according to a report that I had found and researched about earlier. But this warning was taken extremely lightly. For fuck's sake, if I get a message on my phone that I'm about to fucking die, I'm gonna be geeking. I'm gonna be tripping.
Let's just say you're gonna be going your fastest on foot in a car,
in my
down
car,
wherever
and
you
these
are.
people don't have cars. You give them an iPhone message. What are they supposed to do? Get to their basement and hope for the best?
Exactly.
Like, are you kidding
Like,
me?
See,
Biggie.
I don't think that's...
You just get a text. You're about to get bombed. What are you doing?
Oh shit!
I'm running.
I love my.
He's
dog.
running. He's running. What
that's
about you,
true.
Luke? What about you?
I don't think that's fair to compare to us here in the U.S. versus there over in the Middle East.
The thing about this,
We
it's
get-
common for them though. Like,
We'll get it. We'll be walking down the DC streets,
Right.
and we'll get an Amber Alert that there's an active
As-
shooter within a few blocks of us, and we kind of just like, all right, I'll go the other way.
As
Whereas over there in the
G-Pound.
Middle East, you get that sort of alert, and it's bombs being dropped
Yeah.
on hospitals.
Yeah, I
It's a
know.
big
and
difference.
tanks and helicopters with missiles being flown over these high density, high population dense areas.
But that's-
what are you supposed to do?
I
How are you
haven't-
supposed to heed that?
I have a counter argument here, but aren't you guys aware that Hamas and Hezbollah, with the water pipes, which are middle water pipes that's sent there by UN and other countries, so the people there are able to access electricity, water, and all the amenities a human being should be able to access in modern day. Instead, Hamas and the leaders, they cut down the water pipes to about this long and makes mortar and small rockets and fire them back into Israel. So should we really blame Israel for doing that? Well, we have these shameless people like Hamas literally making water pipe rockets so they can harm Jewish people for no reason. Like, as far as I'm concerned, aside from Jewish people trying to establish a diplomatic and economic relationship with the Middle East, this war has no provocation. Why would the Hamas do this?
Well, that's exactly why the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
Netanyahu.
Netanyahu, that's exactly-
Netanyahu.
Netanyahu, he's using Hamas as an example of why Israelis should have this land, of why this war is necessary, because he's grouping the Palestinian people and Hamas all in one. He's like, my Jewish, my Israeli, my fellow brothers, look at what these people are doing. They're creating pipe bombs. He's like, the only way we can get rid of them is to kill them. And I think what all of us need to do is to recognize the difference between the Palestinian innocent people and Hamas, an active terrorist group, not freedom fighters.
While we're on this topic, then let's dive into this little segment of the actual military comparison, including the civilian casualties and everything included within military operation. Let's talk about it between the two countries. What are we thinking? Like,
as in what? As the death toll on both sides?
death tolls, the methods being used. Like, Israel are breaking out robots, AIs, rockets playing. They're stacked. They got the Iron Dome intercepting almost 70 to 90% of all the missiles being fired.
Yeah.
But while Hamas is still able to
Playing
actually
under the
murder
grid.
thousands and thousands of
Right.
of Jewish
That's
citizens.
right.
Well, I think this all comes back to the United States-Chinese conflict. Is that the United States is pushing this technology to Israel, showing China, this is the technology we have, this is the power we hold. You should fear us. And China is just saying, look what we can do with a couple of guys and some AKs.
That's right.
Like you don't own us.
Operation.
We have not put any technology into this war, and this is what we can do to you. It is a scary thing. We should all be scared.
Right.
With that being said, I heard actually from my own grandma. I love you, grandma. I just gotta say, she's a big fan of everything we're doing, and she loves the news. And she told me, which she's actually born in China. She's a Chinese citizen. She came out here to be with me and my family, which is my mom, and it makes sense. But basically, she was saying that actual Hezbollah Hamas is actually assisted by Chinese civil engineers from the
wow.
People's Liberation Army. They were sent through Egypt, where they enter Hamas enter Gaza Strip by car, and helped the Hamas terrorists with building these underground cartel tunnels to go into Israel. What do you think? I mean, this is an allegation, but what do we think?
Well,
do
if
you
it-
think it's true? You think it's just a rumor?
If
Or-
that- allegation
I
is
think
true.
it could totally be
Right.
true.
And if the allegation is true, it's so, there goes the whole China's the non-interference pact or whatever they're preaching about. 'Cause
Yeah,
clearly
peace,
if-
love,
yeah,
no war. Oh, but
humanitarian-
we're gonna
I
go
must
dig
say-
some tunnels to kidnap
Right,
some.
I am very
some
skeptical
Israelis.
of it, even though I do not like the CCP. We're against everything they're doing, but
Right.
this seems a little far.
Yeah.
Actually.
Too much involvement.
A little
Exactly.
far for that.
Absolutely,
Yeah, physical involvement.
absolutely.
So what actually, Bryce? What do
Yeah,
you
what do you
think
think
about
about
this? Because we hit this from you. You just heard this for the first time. What do you think about this?
Could you re-ask the question for me? And
So there was been allegations of Chinese civil engineering
water bottle go?
army officers
Oh yeah, I didn't think
went into Egypt wearing normal civilian clothes and drove into Gaza to help the terrorists build underground tunnels to attack the Jewish people in Israel. What do you think? You think that's true? You think that's just a joke? You think that's an allegation?
I think that could be very real. I think that's a very real possibility, and yes.
Was that because like the precedent of the things that Chinese government has done, or do you think it's a real possibility?
I think it's a real possibility, yeah, because of what he's done.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I do just want to point out we are 9 viewers away from this man taking his shirt off.
Yeah.
So keep pouring in here, guys. You guys want to see this man shirtless because he's a good-looking man.
Yeah, for real. But look, G-Bao is a man of his word, and if he will do it. So let's see. Hopefully that does happen, huh?
We are 51
I am scared.
minutes
We're
in.
9 people
51
away.
minutes in,
50-minute
man.
mark.
51 minutes of talking with you beautiful people back home.
And
you know?
I hope you guys know that while we are making some lighthearted humor and some jokes about all of this, this is a very hard-hitting topic.
Indeed.
I didn't mean to undertone or put anything less than it should be as I proceeded to throw the water bottle at our host Jussie when he was describing the death toll. So, apologies if that was misinterpreted
And
as
rather
something bad.
inappropriate.
But while it was inappropriate, I feel as if it was all right.
Well, let's just say this. Once the camera's over, let's see how Nojisi feels about that.
Oh!
That's for another time, eh?
For these two fighting after this podcast, I'll record it. If we get to 100 people, we'll post the actual
Go
fighting
join our
footage.
second channel.
Send
I'm
your
kidding.
bets.
There's
Send
no
your
second
bets.
channel.
Yeah.
Nah, hey, not yet, huh?
There you go.
Share this with your friends, your family, your loved ones, anyone, because
Put it
all
on.
your support
Absolutely.
matters.
World star.
We see those hearts, we see those
yeah.
thumbs up in the chat. We appreciate you
love you,
guys.
we love
you.
You guys make us.
We love you guys.
Yeah, and of course, if you guys have anything to say, please, we're always up for discussion. Say something in the comments. What's
Absolutely.
your
We can
beliefs? What's
see
your
your
opinions?
comments here. Feel free
Yeah.
to ask any questions.
Right.
Any other viewpoints? Some of you say what you have to say in Chinese, and we're sorry we can't on-demand translate that.
Well,
but-
absolutely. I understand Chinese. I can translate it for these guys. And
Yup.
any questions, welcome. Chinese, Spanish, English. Send it to us. We'll
Yeah.
find a way to answer you guys.
We are also
limitation.
very excited to let you guys know that this will probably be the first stream that we will have translated into Chinese for you guys.
Absolutely.
With some new AI technology.
Right.
So you guys can really get. So you guys can be as inclusive, as included as we are.
we don't want there to be a language barrier of any
Right,
sort.
yeah. We want to
have
make it
we have
easier
to
for
defeat
everyone,
that.
out in the world.
We
Even
want to
though-
include all of you guys.
Wrap
Even
up
though we were talking about the AI
Yeah,
military
we will.
technology with Israel, but hey, some AI is pretty good, pretty handy.
All right, it feels like we're reaching the end of this.
Yeah, I feel like-
so I
let's-
think we have
let's
one
let you
or
have
two
one
more
to say.
segments.
A couple more things.
Yeah, a couple more things.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
We still
we're-
got some stuff
Yeah,
to say.
we're close to 80. As
Yeah.
bad as
We all want to see
Take
it
your
take
shirt
a
We're
off.
shot.
close to 80.
There we go.
So,
get the
gentlemen,
80
do we have
pulled
any
off.
more? Do we have any more research?
So,
any more
I
points we
have
want to bring
I have
up?
a good question for all of you guys, and I would really like to hear it. I'll talk about it myself. This conflict has just beginning. We've seen an example of what Russia and Ukraine turned out to, but that's a whole different situation. As Ukraine was actually assisted by the West by billions, to the point where I would say they were even matched with Russia. Do we all say?
Right.
Yeah.
It's about the
Oh,
same?
absolutely.
Yeah,
I
they were the
think
same level as Russia.
Yeah.
I think world news and especially Russia tried
Absolutely.
tried to do their best to say, like, look at how much more powerful we are. Ukraine should just give up on this war, while Ukraine was like,
No.
bitch, we're in this.
There's no
we're
backing
just
out
as here
now.
as you are.
You just say conflicts aside. We already seen the Russian-Ukraine conflict. In 3 to 6 months, what do you think with this military power deficit? Where do you think we're gonna be at in the conflict, global power-wise, and just globally? What do you think will be affected? What do you think the outcome will be? You think Israel might take over Gaza and won, or the conflict will prolong for years like the Russian-Ukraine one? Biggie?
Yeah, Biggie first.
Anyone, anything?
You look a little lino.
I gotta think about that one.
Okay, we
I
can
think, we should put our input.
I gotta say,
and
it's
then
a hard,
with
it is a
all
hard
that
question. It is a hard
information,
It's a
question.
real
our friend
hard-hitting
Biggie here
question.
could tell us what he thinks
Yeah.
about that. So, no, Josie, why don't you go ahead and start us off with this?
Okay, so in terms of what could happen
In the near future.
in the near future with this multifaceted battle. So as we know, there are a lot
Wow,
of
many
things,
fronts,
many fronts, many different players involved. Not just Israel and Palestine, but terrorist groups, foreign governments, foreign bodies like China,
Interests,
the U.S.
influences.
So with all of these interests and influences, there's
Fucking chess game,
bound to
bud.
be,
Oh, yeah.
as we all know, there's bound to be some sort of solution, because we know that these countries, the bigger world players, can't have all of this mess going around, especially when you have such great interest, when China has such great interest in Palestine, and when America has such great interest in Israel. There's bound to be some sort of kind of mutual understanding, and that understanding, I believe, will always be temporary. It will never be a permanent solution. There's always, this situation is probably going to come up again and again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and as history shows, unfortunately, in the Middle East, it does.
Yeah.
These religious wars over
Recurring
Holy
all the
Land just continue to emerge because people can't. Unfortunately, just the way human nature is, they can't seem to get along. They don't like to share.
So-
They want everything for themselves.
right.
And as terrible as humans can be, us as superpowers, America and China, have seen this as their opportunity to undermine the other country once again by showing military strength, by showing support to other countries, and by just disregarding what the other powerhouse, aka China, has to say.
So 3 to 6 months. Give us the odds. What do you think? Who do you got in this game right here?
This war will still be going on. I think China will bring in some more technology. I think the U.S. came out swinging real early. They wanted to end this war early because they wanted to show China the power that we hold. And China has not shown us what they have, and they are still in this. So I'm a little concerned.
So far, Mr. Nojussi, what do you call is the 3 to 6 months timeline?
I would say there's only going to be a temporary solution, and I would hope there is some sort of solution, but it will definitely be temporary, and it will
Okay.
probably involve, with the U.S. backing, Israel being in charge of the Israeli state.
And Mr. L
That's what I
here,
believe.
like you just heard, he's got Israel, but he thinks in the long term it's still going on 3 to 6 months. He thinks it's gonna go on for a little while.
Oh,
Our main host, Jussie. Let's hear from the man.
Well, basically, Jussie Nail took a lot of the words from out of my mouth. They said a lot of things that I agree with, but
Hey, man,
three
you
to
gotta
month.
be more creative, bro. Come
Right.
on. Hey.
Yeah, hey.
No, he got it.
No.
It's the
Let me say
host.
something, G-Pow. Let me say
The
something.
host will talk.
My apologies, but listen.
Mr. Jussie.
Of course, look, this may be all speculation, of course, since we all can't tell the future. But look, in 3 to 6 months, in my humble opinion, is that obviously, as we do believe this is a proxy war between China and the U.S., backing up both sides on opposite ends, that this is definitely going to be going on for quite some time. I don't think either one really wants to lose still. You know what I mean? They don't want to lose the part that they're backing up. So clearly this is going to be going on for a minute. Of course, the reoccurring states, they've been going on since the beginning of time. This is clearly benefiting someone or some foreign power.
Yeah.
This is all just a big manipulation game. It's a mind game. It's a proxy war. It's like It's kind of like the Cold War in a sense, you know,
too
but
much.
it's
Too
too
much
much.
going
But as we see now, it's wild already. It's hasn't even been that long. I mean, it's been a lot.
It's been a
but
long,
It's
long
been a long
time.
time.
Yeah.
So
But
this
this
is
war-
6 months. Give
yeah.
it to me. What's the verdict? Still going on? Israel's gonna win. Hamas gonna win. Give it
Nah,
to me.
It's going to be a great big draw for a while. I do think there's a possibility that Hamas will be taken care of, but who says there might not be another organization that pops up in their place?
The CCP.
Right.
Temporary solution.
I just gotta say, although I asked a question, I do believe that within at most 6 months, Israel will actually win the war. Win the war
With
you know?
U.S.
Yeah.
backing?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Despite
with
my
US
part,
backing.
my counterparts and associates thinking differently, and I just want to say we're 2 more away from 80. That
Oh,
means 2
shit.
more from me going shirtless in this 0
Only
degrees
one person
weather.
is talking
But
to
before that, let's get
Same.
let's get
Yeah,
the
what-
last
what do
person,
they
We have
Biggie.
261 views on Getter. 261
Yeah, it
views on
doesn't
Getter.
seem like this can go on. We need real reformation, and that there can't be just one treaty that's going to solve this. This needs to be worked at for the next 6 months. We can't just wait until someone wins. There needs to be constant talks, constant communication to just figure this out. And like I said, it won't just be a one and done. This needs to be worked at for time.
Right.
And G-Pow, I do want to ask, you believe that this will be over in 3 to 6 months with Israel
That's
winning the war?
The given
I
time
bel-
frame.
That's the given time frame.
I will believe because Hamas, they're actually crazy people. I believe.
Yes.
And they've got the, so to speak, religious determination,
Motive.
but they are outgunned. They're they're outgunned
Outmatched.
by technology, political influence, backings and stuff, and simply it's like a stick man with a stick
Right.
trying to fight a WWE wrestler. You know,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say something.
it is just so vastly different power.
All
you know?
I'm saying is that a 300 moment, if you guys have watched 300, a 300 moment is fucking possible. That's not.
Okay.
There's a
That is
300
what,
moment.
one time in history?
That's not one. That is okay.
That
That
was
is
the
one
Thermopylae,
time.
if y'all don't know
But
what that
you
was.
see what they're doing with this technology right now. It's not. You're not. You may not be wrong, but I may not be wrong either.
Right.
Is
But
what
listen,
I mean.
yeah, this is all like speculation, but let me clarify my opinion because if you guys, I feel like y'all didn't understand. When I say that it was a draw, as in the fact, yeah, Israel might win against Hamas, but then again, that is a terrorist group versus a whole government. Still, of course, the region of the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, it's still going to be chaotic after that. What, again, is stopping another terrorist organization to grow? ISIS was,
Thank you.
backed
Thank
out. They're weakened enough. Syria's a little messed up still, but there are still terrorist organizations. They will. You can't. You'll cut the. You won't win until the head of the snake is cut off completely, which I don't think will happen if Israel wins, because it most likely will. But organizations will pop up any day at a time.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
totally agree with you.
Hell, because let me say one more thing. Sorry about that, El. Hamas isn't even the only terrorist organization in the West Bank or the
Gaza Strip.
Gaza Strip. There are many. They're not even the most powerful at this point either. They're just making the most headlines because they're destroying shit. But there was like the Islamic Jihad group in there. There's something they called the Lions. There's hella groups out here. What would not take its place? Like
So
I
I would say
absolutely
it would
agree
be the
with you.
treatment of people.
right.
G-How, I want to G-How, I want to direct this towards you. So you believe Israel will win this war with the backing of the U.S. Do you?
I would say
that
even
means-
without the backing of US, they would win. And mind you, we'll wrap up very soon. But we got some comments right there.
Oh, yeah.
Some great questions. We're gonna finish this conversation and we're gonna get to you guys.
So you believe?
right.
So let's say yes, Israel does win the war.
Very soon.
Hamas gets slaughtered. No more Hamas.
So-
is Israel? The Israelis take over the control of Israel.
Absolutely.
What's going to happen to all the Palestinians?
I would say the Israeli state, as well as the Jewish people, should accept the fact that Hamas is the terrorist, and the Palestinian people was just as much as victims as the Jewish people were in this circumstance. And I would suggest that we're all one kind, we're all one people. We should stick together. The Israeli state should provide aid, healthcare, and just
Right.
spend some money
all the
on
amenities.
Humanitarian efforts.
actually help and rejuvenate the group of people
Right.
that's actually isolated
That's right.
from the rest of the Palestinian in the Gaza Strip.
That's right.
That's exactly what I
Let's
was
not
hoping to hear.
alienate them,
Let's
but
accommodate
make them
them.
understand us and then help them get out of it so we
Right.
can all become peaceful. Because the one thing is the ISIS was continued because of the Afghani people and the Iraqi people who did not understand what we were trying to push to them. in the U.S. military, gotta say, our boys did a great job.
Yeah.
But our boys can be very racist, and they could have some very interesting opinion and action sometimes.
So
That's, you know.
I wanna
War does that to people.
I want to do a little final thoughts. I think we got all of our last opinions out of the way.
Right.
Little
conflict then and there, eh?
A little bit of
Yeah.
conflict, a little bit of hashing it out. But,
But
the thing is,
should we read some of the comments though, no, Jesse?
we've been going for about 1 hour and 4 minutes.
Yeah, we got a lot of interaction from you all.
And
so
I think
appreciate that.
what we're all clearly where this is leading to. I think what this is clearly leading to is that all of us are just supporting peace in the Middle East.
Right.
That's right. Peace in
No
the
matter
Middle East.
no matter who wins, we are hoping that the victor will welcome the loser, as long as the loser has no more terrorist groups to attack them. We want world peace, as we all know.
And
we're
we
hoping
want
that they can find a solution,
a
whether that be
legitimate
with
solution.
whether that
I
be
gotta say, boys,
with third party influence.
We are at 79.
One more person.
guys, one more.
One more person.
Jeep, how we
I'm gonna read off some of the comments. Let's just get a general
Right,
response.
get a little
to it.
discussion.
We'll get some back and forth with you guys.
Yeah, Jeb. Oh yeah, Jeb. Talking to the mic. Maybe they can't hear you.
Yeah, what's the go me? They said we can't understand you guys, but we love the content you guys make.
That's right.
Obviously, tell them, we can repeat it again. Tell them about the new AI translation system we have.
Right.
You say
Let's just say, G-Pow, thank you guys for having 80 views.
This is the end of the
We're gonna
stream.
cut it off.
Yeah.
We love you guys. We love all of you.
This is the real shit.
Take it up!
I'm Juicy. Let's go. That's G-Pow. This is the real world.
No, Juicy!
And we're
This is real time when we talk about real
I'm Juicy.
Yeah, boys! Let's go! Yeah! Yeah! Juicy! You beautiful man! Biggie! That's what I'm talking about! Where is he?